to another episode of Trust the Process Live, brought to you by MyNEWPhilly. I am flanked by my guys.
Oh, good words.
Hey, Mr. Five Digits over here, Max Coolish.
Happy holidays,
The young
everybody.
gentleman himself, James Jackson.
Yes, sir.
I'm James Hyden. I'm stepping in for Sean. You've seen me a little bit over the past couple of weeks, but we are here to wish you the happy end of the decade. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about everything. You know what I mean? We're going to go all the way back to, see, I had a weird thing. I kept on thinking that the 2000s were this decade. So the entire
they do kind of warp together.
The entire week, like, people are leaving things that I think are obviously, like, should recently be talked about, and I'm like, yo, like, what are you talking about? The Phillies won a world championship this decade. Like,
Yeah, no.
And they're looking at me back like, yo, you're the crazy one.
Yeah.
Turns out.
That hurts a little bit, right?
It
Turns
out I am the crazy one. So
it does hurt a little.
It hurts a little bit that it was that long ago.
I know.
It doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It is what it is. But Deuces wild card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hell
Hey,
yeah.
that's what it is. We got Deuce. Deuce is probably the position coach of the year. No.
Is that a thing?
I mean, it could. Like,
I don't know
for
enough
the
position
Eagles,
coaches to
I'm
even have an
sidetracking.
opinion.
Oh, I mean,
but
definitely for the Eagles, but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if we had more time and resources, we could probably have some competitors, but it is kind of hard to think of another position group by a team that maybe has carried the load so much for their respective side of the ball in the NFL this year.
Well, if you want to give us resources, contact us. info@mynewphilly.com.
We love resources.
Yeah, we do love resources. So
Resources are awesome.
We love resources. But if you have a position coach or just a coach in general that you think has outperformed Deuce, leave it in the comments because we'd like to discuss it. And we'd like you to be heard. So we're going to get right into it. Our main event is the New Year's resolution for everyone.
Wow.
So everybody has those reasons that they create a New Year's resolution. They're not just born out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
So for our Philadelphia Eagles, are they leaving those demons in 2019? Are we going to start fresh in 2020?
Well, I'll tell you the most important Eagle is, and that's Carson Wentz. And he had one New Year's resolution. He had one demon he had to leave behind, one monkey to get off his back. And that was himself not only make it to the postseason, but really be the reason the Eagles make it to the postseason. Carson Wentz and Carson Wentz only. It's no question in anybody's mind who led the Eagles to the postseason, who's going to be the biggest player and they're going to have to have the most limelight come playoff time, and that's Carson Wentz. Something we talked about a couple of episodes ago that I really think he needed to get off his back. He needed to get into the playoffs, get that experience, because everybody else had the party of going to the Super Bowl run, and he didn't. And it was something that I think that ate away at him, something he really pressed to. Yeah. And now that he's in, get in and let everything else kind of take care of itself this year and the rest of your career. And I'm going to give him some credit because he finally got that demon away from him.
There were all those reports that he was kind of being a dick, but I would have been as well.
Well, he was pressing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone was saying, look how much fun that Super Bowl run was. Look how much clout we got from that Super Bowl run. And it's got to be a little, one, defeating, and two, a little bit, make you a little bit insecure that as the leader of this football team, as the quarterback going forward, you're the only person who doesn't have that championship run experience.
Yeah, and that goes back to, like, the age-old, like, competitiveness. I don't know if you want to call it theory or whatever you want to describe it as. But, historically, there's always been that question, like, guys who see their team succeed, in lieu of them, like, how do you take that? Like, that's where the human side of the things that comes in. That's the things you don't plan for in Madden or 2K. Like, Carson Wentz, you're the guy that's been made clear to everybody that you're the guy, but then you have to watch another guy do what you're supposed to be doing with all your brothers, with all your teammates, and that weighs on someone mentally. And you could definitely see it last year. He was trying to be Superman, and he was not physically capable of doing that. And I'm not sure he was really mentally ready to do that anyway as an NFL player in only his second and a half-ish season.
And then you had to watch a whole city debate what should have never been debated on who's better, who should be our quarterback. That should have something that I don't think was ever anticipating inside of his rookie deal. And the fact that he had to quietly contend with that and had to make sure that, hey, does anyone else in his locker room think that? Because we can have words, and I think that that's definitely something that keeps you up at night, to say the least.
Yeah. I give the guy a lot of props because it's still going on.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It forever will. Until he wins one, it forever will.
Yeah. There's no other way to put it.
There's some guy named Vinny out there who wants to go talk about how Nick Foles has a statue 12 blocks
They
away.
They don't give just anybody statues.
Right. No,
Mike.
I walk to it every day. I go see it. I go
They
pray
gave
to
a player
Nick Foles.
statue. They gave a player statue.
Right, but Dougie's right there too in brass. He's right there in brass. I see it all the time.
The South Philly Italian is up.
Then he go gets a hoagie. That's what it is. No. So
the timeless genre of sports fans.
yes,
South Philly.
exactly. So we talked about the reasons why these resolutions are being made. Which one of our Eagles have gotten started on the resolutions early? Who's ahead of the curve?
I'm going to say, Carson Wentz is a pretty obvious one in the fact that I think his resolution for 2020, and it's kind of weird because the NFL season is still going on for the Eagles, thankfully, so I guess you can kind of include this season. I'm going to say the goal is still for him to win a Super Bowl. I will go on the record happily and say I can't put my faith in the Magic this year.
Thank you, Max. You were really worrying me about where you were going.
It feels like the talent disparity will be too much at some point, but I think Carson Wentz is certainly taking the right steps to getting the city another Super Bowl. I'll also say this, Doug Peterson, in his resolution of winning a Super Bowl as well, at 5-7 losing to the Dolphins, it is very easy to lose that locker room. And the Eagles have responded, perfectly. It's exactly how you would want to write it out. And I think being able to continuously harvest and grow that feeling that, hey, 5-7 after a bad road loss, we're good, we got this. And that's the kind of thing that carries over. And I talked about this a little bit last week with the championship mindset of the team. Those kind of things never really leave the team until essentially the coach is gone, because that is really the person who it stems from. So as long as Peterson can still keep doing these things, results like these give you tons of leeway down the line. And being able to rally a team like he did from 5-7 to 9-7 shows that it kind of, to me as an Eagles fan, it's like no matter where we are in the season, until Doug says we're done and dusted for the year, I truly believe that we have a chance. Yeah, and I think that is something that's going to kind of pour over as well as what Carson Wentz has been doing.
There was a lot made on social media of his comment, the new norm.
Yes.
Right? And I think everybody can agree that if this is the new norm, that exactly what you said, no matter what the record is, no matter who they just lost to, you can still have blind faith. And I'm not calling it blind faith just because. You're allowed to have blind faith because 3 years he has shown that there is no fight. So if that's the new norm, I think that's pretty good.
Well, the new norm is just always, the Eagles have always had a next man up mentality.
Right.
They've always had we're never down until we're out. They embraced the underdog mentality when they went on a Super Bowl run. They embraced it last year and were a drop away from going back to the NFC Championship game. They've been in that mindset, and it instills confidence in the best player in the field to the last player on the bench. And you can see when players come off the bench ready to perform, a la Greg Ward, who I think is starting his resolution early, a player who had to come into the league and change positions, who had to come from quarterback to wide receiver. So
good college quarterback.
A good college quarterback, you know what I mean? At a very good top 25 program, and Houston was very good. And so you already have a resolution as a changing of a position. My resolution is to get better and better at the position of wide receiver every day and every game. And not only is he doing it, he's doing it in a national spotlight. He's doing it on TV. He's doing it right before everybody's eyes. And I want to give him as much credit as I want to give Doug Peterson and the coaching staff as allowing him to have that confidence to go out there and say, hey, we're all we need. You're going to have to go out there and make a play for us, and we believe that you're able to do so. And I think he, is stepping up to that billing. He's made huge catches over, the last 3-4 games of the season.
Right. And I think it's as much credit as those guys deserve. I think the hungry mentality. Greg Ward and Boston Scott, these guys have been cut, brought back, brought back. I think at some point that just kind of stays in you because everybody counts you out. So if you're given that shot, it is going to be very hard to count you out.
I'll be honest, I didn't know who Boston Scott was before we activated him to the 53.
I picked him up when Kamara was hurt for the Saints.
Very savvy.
Exactly.
But you're 100% right that it felt like for a while the Eagles didn't have a guy that came out of nowhere and contributed. It feels like every year, like Philip Lindsay last year, there's always like, hey, undrafted guy, definite starter, fringe Pro Bowler, All Pro, whatever. Right. And it just feels like it's been so long since the Eagles have had someone like that. And we're not getting it, all lumped into one person like a Philip Lindsay going to his Pro Bowl in the first year. But it's coming in, in the group of the parts. Greg Ward, serviceable slot receiver, big upside at this point. Boston Scott comes out of nowhere and becomes a legitimate weapon in your offense.
Same with Josh Perkins making catches. I'm like, whoa.
Can't block much, but he can catch the ball. So where I'm going with that is these guys have kind of unceremoniously lit a bunch of fireworks under this team. So we're going to be seeing a bunch of fireworks. What with Boston Scott 3 touchdowns going into the next game. The Seahawks defense is not that a little shaky, baby.
Little shaky, baby.
Definitely a little shaky, baby.
Definitely a little shaky,
The
baby.
question is, which one of the wild card matchups, whether it be the Texans, Bills, Saints, Vikings,
Patriots,
Eagles, Seahawks,
Titans.
and Patriots, Titans. Which one's going to provide the most fireworks?
I mean, while I do think the Eagles-Seahawks game is going to be close, a lot closer than I really want it to be, especially because the Eagles playing at home, I don't think it's going to be the most exciting in terms of fireworks. I think
Definitely
the most
not.
exciting one is going to be that Vikings-Saints matchup in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Your Vikings, one, I think, don't get enough credit. Kirk Cousins doesn't get enough credit for the quarterback he is and the season that he's having. I know you don't want it. Makes you a little bit nervous, but I do think the Vikings are a little bit of an underrated team, and we already know how the Saints can put up points. And I think that's just going to be a very exciting game down in New Orleans. I'm not saying a winner. I'm not saying the Vikings are going to upset the Saints. I'm saying I think that game is going to yield the most excitement.
I agree. That's what I had, but close second place for me. I think it's got to be Patriots-Titans with the way the Patriots are unraveling and then pulling it back together the next week. It's going to be very interesting to see how they bounce back, because in years past, Patriots off a loss, next game's at home, you're like, I don't care what Vegas thinks, the Patriots are probably going to destroy whoever this is. And this is a fun stat. First time all decade the Patriots haven't had a first-round bye. Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly. It doesn't even sound like it could be true.
The decade is over.
Doesn't even sound like it could be true. I promise you it is.
9 straight years of first-round bye.
So I think it's going to be very interesting how one of, if not the hottest teams in football, the Titans, goes to the Coliseum that is New England. Nobody leaves Foxborough with a win, especially in the playoffs. So it's going to be really interesting to see, can the Titans offense keep clicking? Is the Patriots defense, how good are they? And conversely, how good or bad is the Patriots offense? So
Ryan Tannehill looks like a quarterback reborn. He looks like a brand, a completely
that game
different
could
quarterback.
That game could be a blowout either way from the beginning. It could be close to the final whistle. One team that could be decided by like 2 back-to-back series, and I don't think it'll be as many total points as Saints Vikings, but I have a feeling that it might be more dramatic.
It's going to be a grudge match for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very ground and pound, ugly, physical game in New England for sure.
Yeah. So we've over the course of this decade and last, there's been this kind of tradition where it used to be you didn't pop champagne until the very end.
Until the championship.
Until the championship. Now you're winning a wild card game and there's champagne waiting for you.
Did y'all pop champagne?
Goggles,
Did y'all pop champagne after you won the East? Yesterday after you secured it?
Well, I mean, the division titles are getting out of hand. All these people with walking around with division title hats and shirts.
I think that's fair.
Division titles fair.
I think that's fair because that's like you've accomplished something substantial. You know what I mean? Like every team's goal is every year win the division, win the Super Bowl, and I think that's probably pretty fair. Like the division is the first major step in the ultimate journey, I think. So I don't have an issue with that. But I agree that
the wild card game, no.
This is a cross-sport thing, too. Like, even in the MLB, when teams win the one-game play and there's champagne, it's like, dude, come on, relax, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming
from. So go back to this. Are we going divisional round, division, championship game, Super Bowl?
You pop champagne after you win the division.
No, I'm talking about transitioning from the champagne for the merchandise. Okay. I want you to let me know about this too because I'm actually
merch tier.
Championship,
like winning the title of your sport is obviously number one.
Right.
But
so
you can get merch. You can get merch winning the division and winning the conference. So wild card and divisional round, no merch.
I don't think they really sell winners merch for like winning the wild card or divisional game.
I don't think that's a thing.
Right.
I personal stance, I don't buy championship gear because I did when the Eagles won the NFC Championship in 2004 and now all I had for a while was just a shirt to remember them losing in the last-second field goal in the Super Bowl. So I have made a distinct commitment to myself to not purchase anything that's not specifically definitively a win, like division title or Super Bowl. Obviously, Super Bowl went out and splurged.
Because I would go Super Bowl or championship game.
See, I get where you're coming from, and I don't hold it against other people, but just personal traumatic experience from my childhood.
Interesting. So, sorry, but...
Yeah.
We're going to figure something out real quick.
All right, anyway, back to you guys.
We have to figure that out real quick. Again, let us know what game you would feel okay buying merchandise with, or if you've already bought your NFC East gear, let us know, because honestly...
Drop a pick. It's fire this year, honestly.
No,
I love the East is not enough stuff. Love it.
No, yeah, that's actually very good. They did a very good job with that. So... who's popping the champagne in 2020? Who's the first team in professional sports to pop some bottles?
I am gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Bold.
They are the only team capable of beating the Ravens. I have a personal theory that your first real go in the playoffs is never your best one. Lamar Jackson was shaky last year. I think they'll get the first playoff win this time. I think the Chiefs are the most, I don't want to say hungry, but it feels, to me, I just have the feeling that the Chiefs' defense got slowly better throughout the second half of the year. Nobody really talked about it. The running game got better over the second half of the year. Nobody really talked about it. Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. They've gotten healthier. They have all of their offensive weapons going into the playoffs. They're the only team that can beat Baltimore in Baltimore as far as I'm concerned. And I'll say the Chiefs will take down the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
I like that. I like that because I like your theory.
Thank you.
And for your theory, I'm going to say the 49ers don't make the Super Bowl. The Saints make the Super Bowl because you just said it. Your first go run in the playoffs is not it. We got a rookie head or a second-year head coach and then a quarterback making his first go run as a starter in the playoffs. They have a lot of veterans on that 49ers team, but at the hallmark, give inexperience. You go over to the Saints, it's just all experience everywhere. A team who needs to get a bad taste out of its mouth, too, after losing in that god-awful way in the NFC Championship.
And then a year before that.
And then the year before that. So I think that yeah.
Better times.
Yeah, you little Minnesota Miracle.
That's cool.
Listen.
I don't get to be happy. I don't want to be happy.
Listen,
It's fine.
I think which means that they have to beat the
it's
Vikings
fine.
in the first.
It's fine. It's fine.
I do think the New Orleans Saints. I think Drew Brees pulls it together. I'm not sure what's happening with the whole Antonio Brown situation. If that's transpiring to anything, if they get him, that's just another reason that they do it. Look,
They're signing him right to the commissioner's exempt list.
Yeah,
they said they're not going to sign him unless he's
I
cleared to play.
really don't want to talk about Antonio. I've spent enough time in my life talking about Antonio Brown. I do not want to talk about it. Saints win the Super Bowl.
Over who?
Win the Super Bowl.
I do want to say the Ravens. I do.
I think, as far as I'm concerned, Chiefs and Ravens are the only people you should be picking to get out of the AFC.
Going Ravens over Niners in a.
I would love a rematch of that game.
In a horrible rematch.
Love a rematch of that game.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we're not going to get to see Jim there, but I think it'll be a good game anyway. And Lamar the Ravens team just looks hungry. That defense, you said the same thing about the Chiefs defense. It slowly got better. I think since they got Marcus Peters, the Ravens have been top 10 easy.
Agreed.
The best defense.
What's going to be big is Mark Ingram.
Agreed. Also, I'm totally bought into the regular season MVP doesn't win the Super Bowl trend. So that's another reason.
Interesting. We'll come back to that. So let us know who you think is going to be popping the bottles as the earliest professional team in the new decade, because we'd love to hear it. So getting into halftime, we did the segment last week. Malcolm Jenkins has again been nominated for the third time, hasn't won one, for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Challenge. And for all the work that this man does for not just Philadelphia, everywhere he's ever played and lived, he deserves some kind of recognition. So what you can do, the votes only count on Twitter. Remember that. Twitter. Still don't understand you. Dark universe out there, the Twitterverse.
A lot of pictures and videos.
Yeah, that we're not going to dive into. You can if you feel like jumping down that rabbit hole. But what you do is you go on Twitter and you tweet #WPMOY Challenge Jenkins. I'm going to say that one more time.
Can you?
And let's hope I get it right. Walter Payton. So WPMOY Challenge Jenkins.
All one word.
All one word after a hashtag. So I'm not going to do it again. You almost got me.
No.
You almost
You shouldn't.
So again, the votes only count on Twitter, and for as much good as he does, let's help our guy Malcolm to get the recognition he rightfully deserves. Because that also comes with a donation that he will get that goes to his foundation, the Malcolm Jenkins Foundation, and let's help him continue doing great work.
And maybe when he wins and it's the off season, I'll just leave it at that.
Maybe. He's certainly been playing like he wants a new contract. But we're getting right into rapid-fire review of the decade. See what we did there?
Oh.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I do.
I can't believe the decade's over.
I know. Doesn't feel right.
Like, what?
2010, the aughts. That's what people call them. I didn't know that.
The what?
The aughts, I think. I don't know. The double zeros? I don't know. That's what I hear. Maybe I misheard it. But anyway, the double zero decade coming.
I didn't like that at all.
I might be messing that up. I'll take full credit for that. But anyway, the double zero decade coming to the end did not feel like this because I was in 10th grade. You know what I mean? Like time's a concept. before you're 21.
And like Y2K never hit us.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
I was playing Pokemon Yellow probably
Exactly.
when Y2K hit. Yeah.
I don't remember what I was doing with Y2K.
Rapid fire. Yes, rapid fire. It's gonna be
It's
a
a
lot
long
quicker.
end of the
intro.
decade,
It's a
Sean.
long
Gonna be a
intro.
lot quicker
Okay,
than
let
that
us-
segue. So, what Philadelphia team won 2019? What other team was 2019's biggest winner?
All right. So I am for Philly. I'm going to say the Sixers because
It's I guess.
yeah, I mean it's really this is totally a coin flip, but
Yeah.
I'm going to say the Sixers personally because they, for all their struggles, they're not scrapping to make the playoffs, and you're not hoping everything goes right for them. The Sixers don't need everything to go right for them to win a title, unlike the Eagles this year. The Sixers just need to play within their talent level and play solid defense, and they're one of the best 4 or 5 teams in the NBA. And I think it's not as much of a stretch to think that they're going to cause legitimate noise in their postseason compared to the Eagles. So for this year strictly, I'll say the Sixers.
Max,
Okay.
the Sixers were underwhelming in 2019.
We're-
They got bounced in the
We are
second round.
we're halfway through the year.
The 2019, but the Sixers.
Okay, so this
2019
past year, but still, they're second round.
What year are we talking about, Max?
Like, come on now.
All right, you guys didn't struggle like I did because to me, a second round exit. I watched the Sixers win less than 50 games totals for 3 years in a row. So I'm a happy guy regardless of what they did. They're still in a great position. And honestly, if you ask me who the best decade at the end of 2029, I'm probably still going to say the Sixers because they're going to have rings. So
Bold.
As you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got him going.
you did. I'm ready.
I got him going. I'm going to say the Eagles won 2019 because of for all the things you pointed out. After the series of injuries that happened, by far the injury bug hit the Eagles more than any other team in the NFL this year. I don't think I've ever seen, especially to one position, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. And the fact that they pulled it together, won 4 straight, albeit against all very bad teams, but winning 4 straight to win a division and make it to the playoffs, I get that the playoffs are going to be in 2020, but all that happened in 2019. We watched Carson Wentz take a step forward and almost get back to what, the MVP level that we know Carson Wentz can be. We watched Doug Peterson command a football team that looked to be down and out after a Miami loss. So I will give 2019 to the Eagles.
Okay.
And I hope you enjoy it because I don't think that's ever going to happen again
I'm going to go
for
the
me.
Flyers.
Okay.
Someone had to.
I'm going to go the Flyers.
You can.
Because
More than the Phillies.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
no,
the thing. I
Phillies
feel like I
Dear
feel
God.
like the Flyers, when you look at them organizationally, I'm not gonna go into the playing, the record, how they've been playing, anything like that. When you look at them organizationally, up and down, there's no real questions to you anymore. You know what I mean? They finally bucked the trend of going, let's hire an old Flyers player and see how it goes. From
One of
the
my
GM,
least favorite sports traditions.
right? From the GM down to the coach. I think they're pretty solid.
Yeah.
So we're set up with a previous Stanley Cup winner in AV. It's what I mean. We're set up for a little while here. We got a young core.
I would have said the Flyers too. I thought the Flyers would have gotten me the reaction you two gave me for the Sixers. Honestly, the other
I was going to give you the reaction.
the other non-Philadelphia team that I had winning 2019 was the Toronto Raptors because they were the first team in history to successfully rent a player for a year.
Crap. That was literally
mean,
for
okay.
the exact same
Player
reason,
for a
and that
year.
was mine.
Every
Seriously.
year it doesn't work out, and the Raptors were like, "Hey, let's make it happen."
Toronto did what every other team was afraid to do, and they said, "We're going to play the lottery for 1 year. We're literally going to put all of our chips to the center of the ring, and it's now or never. We're either going to get it now, or we're just not meant to ever win a championship."
Yeah.
And they did it. They asked Kawhi, "We don't care what you do in the summer of 2019. Just please give us your all for this season. You get a ring, we get a ring, and you can go
Everybody
wherever you
wins,
want.
right?
Where everyone's happy, you go
Right.
wherever you want after that. Just do it for us this year," and it worked. And I
Yeah.
cannot believe it worked. It
Me
worked.
neither.
He took a team that got to the top of the mountain and got kicked off by LeBron James every single time. A team who looked scared to even seize that moment, and he hit one of the biggest shots of the decade, a late entry for it, and then won him a title. It was amazing.
Right.
I agree. I completely agree, Max, that they won 2019.
Sorry, not to cut you off. The NBA's been releasing those the tops of the decade,
Yeah.
and the first clip of the shots of the decade was the Kawhi one. I had to shut it off immediately. I immediately shut it off, and then I saw it later that day. I was like, all right, I'll watch this now and just fast forward to 20 seconds. in.
Yeah.
For some of the same reasons, I'm gonna go the Nationals.
I
They
mean, you can literally almost the same
2019
reason.
was a
It's
great year
pretty
for
much-
one-offs. It felt
And
like.
they beat teams who were they beat a team who was systematically cheating. Like,
Every team
I
they
can't
played in the
argue it.
postseason was better.
I
than
kinda
them.
forgot
Was
about
quote-unquote better than
they
them.
were better. they were like the supreme underdogs if you look back at those betting lines. And like not just like very small things. The Astros were systematically cheating at every facet of a baseball game.
Also doesn't get talked about enough.
I was just going to say,
I think it will once the punishments come down.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we're moving on. Philadelphia's sports resolution is, and afterwards, give someone else a resolution.
Okay, Philadelphia sports resolution. You just talked about how the Nationals won 2019. The Philadelphia sports resolution is to make the baseball world and everybody else forget what the Washington Nationals just did this past year. That means the Phillies have to go out and punch the Nationals in the mouth and the whole rest of the MLB in the mouth.
Cool. Sign me up.
Look,
Yeah,
we completely changed the mantra and the vibe of this team by getting Joe Girardi. Didi Gregorius is a great signing. Go ahead, I'm going to buy in on Zach Wheeler, and hopefully he helps the starting rotation.
Great nickname, great sports name.
He's a better Wheels than Chris Wheeler. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, best wheels in sports is Pete Wheeler back at Football Holla. But they get a healthy Kutch back. They get the bullpen back healthy. Look, the Phillies' resolution is to make everyone forget. At the end of this next baseball season, I want everyone to go, oh, yeah, the Nationals won the year before. I want everyone to forget about it.
Okay, I love that. I can get down with that. My resolution for this wonderful city is, please, guys, it's time to move on from Nick Foles. If this last month hasn't sold you on what Carson Wentz is for this franchise,
Look what Nick Foles is doing.
For this, yeah, he's holding the hell out of that clipboard down at 5-11 Jacksonville.
Tell Vinny that.
Literally, guys, it's time. I have never really been a Foles truther. I've always kind of tried to see it for what it is. It has felt impossible to talk to the lot of you, and you know if you're a Foles truther or not. But from now on, we're not pulling these punches anymore in 2020. It's done with the Carson Wentz slander. That man put us on his back, on his torn ACL, on his broken hand from college. He put us on damn near every body part he has and dragged the corpse of that offense to the playoffs. So it's done. We had a great 2017. Number 9 in the Philly special, always going to be remembered. But please, everybody, it is time. This is Wentz's team. And unless a limb of his literally falls off, it's going to be for probably the next decade as well. So if you don't like it now, time to get used to it.
I'll put that out there.
I'm not putting that out there. When's the last time a starting quarterback fully lost one of their limbs?
Max.
The universe did not need
Max.
that.
I'm counter jinxing it. Have you guys ever counter jinxed anything?
That is
You need to stop.
not how the universe
That's
works.
absolutely how the universe works.
Oh my God, we are going to move right past that because that is tragic.
Whoa.
Give somebody else a New Year's resolution. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, me. Feel free. Bring it on.
Your New Year's resolution is to go home and apologize to the universe. That's what you need to do.
What's
Okay.
a sage or
Yeah,
something?
I can- yeah.
Like-
You can put some
I gotta burn my
resolution.
chakra away later.
I'm gonna give Chris Paul my guy, but I think
Noted your guy.
my guy. I'm gonna give him the New Year's resolution of making people respect you again. Okay, this is a 33-year-old right now on a pretty egregious contract, $30 million for. $34 million
Everyone in the NBA is on an egregious contract.
for a 33-year-old Chris Paul. It's not ideal, right?
Mike Connolly has entered the chat.
Okay, right, exactly. So is Chandler Parsons.
Yeah.
But he went to Oklahoma City, a team that looked down and out, a player that looked down and out with no hope.
Yeah.
People thought he was going to get moved before the trade deadline.
People don't even want to trade for him.
People
over
are
the
going to write
offseason.
off the Thunder. The Thunder right now are the 5th or 6th seed in the Western Conference. Chris Paul right now is in the 50, 40, 90 club through this part of the season. I don't think that's being talked about enough. And he's making people in the league respect him again. Oh, yeah, we forgot that Chris Paul is one of the best floor generals in the NBA. He's turning people like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Dennis Schroeder into very, very good guards and huge trade bait for teams right now. He's turning Steven Adams back into that double-double machine. And he's having the Thunder playing above billing. So I think Chris Paul's New Year's resolution is to keep this going, make the league respect you again.
I like it.
I'll keep mine quick. MLB, you got to get the casual fan interested again.
Yeah, sure.
Because I literally forgot that the Astros were cheating in the World Series that happened 2 months ago. Like, that's how little people think of you. And I hate to say it, like, baseball's, maybe not for you guys, but baseball is like the sport growing up. Like, hey, summer day, nothing to do at night after you've been out all day playing, football with your friends at 10, 11 years old. Go home and watch the Phillies game over dinner. You know what I mean? So part of me misses just like watching baseball every night and truly enjoying it. So MLB, I know you guys are working on it. I'm beating the deadest horse on the planet, but this has to be the year. You're running out of time. You're running out of time.
They're getting it though. They're getting it though.
Cork the bats.
I mean, they put rubber in the balls, right?
Everyone should be
Yeah,
cheating.
if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
So look into your crystal balls because I know we have them, and give me one bold prediction for 2020 that's like that you can just see happening?
I got one. Well, the question says for the new decade. So
For the whole decade?
I'm going to
Sure,
take this
you
question
want-
literally
you
because that's
wanna
how I
Take
interpreted
the
it.
next decade and run. Let's go.
Over 7.5 total titles for the city of Philadelphia. 1/5, excuse me. 1/5
Have fun.
of the decade's 4 professional biggest leagues titles will, at some point during the decade, belong to the city of
Where did
Philadelphia.
you get that from?
I
That's not even 2 per team.
don't.
Oh my
Not even
God.
2 per team.
How many did
Just
Philly get in the last
new,
decade?
New bold
We're set up for this
predictions.
decade. You
Go.
want a bold prediction?
Come
You
on.
got it.
That's a
prediction.
ball. That's a.
Would you have called me bold if I said the Sixers will get one and the Phillies will get one and we'll be cool with 2 out of 40 in the decade? Hell no. I think there's legitimate potential for Sixers and Phillies to go multiple potentially dynasty level throughout the course of the decade. Potentially. All right.
He's not gonna like my.
Stand up if you want. But hey, you want a bold prediction, and that's what I got. I think all 4 teams are positioned very well moving into this decade.
Bold prediction.
I only had one. I said the Phillies will bring multiple championships. That was the only. I only have one of them.
Hey, the Phillies could win 8, and you could be right, and I
We
could be
both
right.
But I do think that's my bold prediction. I do see this team trending upwards. I think it was, the manager to really pull a bunch of things together. And, as long as we keep getting, the same production and as long as it keeps going up from key players, I think the Phillies are going to be in a position to win a championship for years and years. They got to bring a couple home.
I like it. So you back home, you watching this right now, I want you to tell us what your bold prediction is for the next decade. It can be anything out there. It can be anything Philly related. It can be anything national related. Give us something that's really going to sizzle, something that you see coming that we might not. So
There's a lot out there.
there's
7.5 total titles.
7.5 total titles. Now, we're going to wrap everything up. Who won the decade? It can be Philly. It can be national. Take me anywhere. But who won 2010 to 2019?
I got one for both. Eagles knockdown.
Obviously.
Drag
That's why I
out
didn't even
winner.
want to do Philly because that's
the first title of the decade. The scenes here that night and literally in the 2.5 years since have still been insane. Like I go down to that parking lot and literally still feels like the Eagles are the 1 seed and we are just running through everybody. I don't know what it is. I guess I just haven't really experienced it because I wasn't really of that age when the Phillies won. So to me, the Eagles are the clear-cut winners of the decade. And let's be honest, it would take, there's no team that had a title this decade besides them, but it would probably take multiple titles from one of the 3 other teams to really upset the Eagles in terms of love for the decade.
Multiple titles from a Philly sports team. Are we forgetting the
Don't.
collegiate ranks, gentlemen?
Dude, it takes you an hour to get there.
It does not take an hour. It takes a smooth 18 minutes to get from the city of Philadelphia.
Back me up. Back me up, dude.
It 100%
Back me
does.
up.
You go 95 to 495, and you there in a smooth 18 to 20.
You're taking 4. No, back me
100%.
up.
It was
Back
not
me
an
up.
hour. It was not an hour. I just did it the other. My answer: the Villanova Wildcats won the decade for Philly sports. 2 championships, one of the most dominant, if not the most dominant national championship run we've seen in the last 40 to 50 years. A full starting 5 got drafted the next year after the championship run. Villanova did it. Look, you can. I don't know what your argument it is, but if you want to not call Philly a Nova a Philly school, there we go.
I'll take
it. Answer me this: Where were the 2 national championship parades held?
The one was
Right there.
literally
Right there.
coming up 76.
Right there, right there. Where do their championship
Sail
banners
down the
hang?
Schuylkill for your
Where do their
championship
championship
parade.
banners hang?
D-Ray, how much are you paying this man?
D-Ray, I'm over here. 1, none. And 2,
He's out here
I'm
caping.
over here advocating for what everyone knows is right. The championship banners hang in the Wells Fargo. They play damn near half of their home games in the Wells Fargo. Nova's Philly School. They are a part of the Big 5. One of college basketball's biggest traditions held out of where? Philadelphia, played at the Palestra. Nova is a Philly school, and they won the decade for Philly sports. Go Cats.
Fair.
I don't agree.
But I
that
back it
is
up.
a larger conversation.
But I back it up.
Again, D-Ray, come on, brother.
Come on, man.
You're paying him way
knows I'm
too
right.
much for this kind of stuff.
He knows I'm right. And nationally, there's one person who won the decade.
Yeah,
for
I
sports.
knew you're going to say. And I'm going to say the other side of it. So you say it and I'll follow up.
Do it.
Who else won a decade besides LeBron James? Besides having
Okay, I thought you were going to say my answer.
no. Besides having the most dominant individual run in NBA history, of going to the finals 9 straight years. 8 straight years, okay? Completing a 3-1 comeback, averaging a triple-double in the finals, leading both team in every statistical category. He also opened a school. Like, I'm talking about stuff on and off the court. $1 billion deal from Nike. Stop it. LeBron James won the decade.
Conversely, the unstoppable machine that was and is the Golden State Warriors, because they did it
Very stoppable this year.
They did it the right way. They drafted all of their guys that they drafted turned into superstars, and then somehow they found themselves in the luxurious position to sign the second best player in the world on the contract that he was looking and demanded for. The result of that, 5 straight finals trips, 3 titles, best regular season record of all time, the clearest blueprint from the last decade on how to build, manage, and own a team, all on the general ownership side. Obviously, you can't always predict that all of your draft picks are going to shape out the way that they did, but Curry, injury questions before coming in, Clay, quiet guy who was an okay athlete coming out of Washington State, Draymond, chippy 6'7" center coming from Michigan State. Yeah. They made all those guys into 3 of the best 20 players in the league, 2 of them top 12.
I would out Andre Iguodala, who they had coming off the bench. Yeah.
Hey man, you can't do an organizational job better than what the Warriors did this day.
I still feel bad for Mark Jackson.
Had the wherewithal to, I do too, but had the wherewithal to follow that up with Steve Kerr. So it is. I don't like where I'm going to go with this, but I kind of have to. I'm going to say Tom Brady.
I knew you were going to say it.
I don't like it.
That's the second one who won the decade.
But I'm going to tell you something that I find a little bit outrageous. So Tom Brady, since he came into the league, has been to the AFC Championship game roughly 80% of the years.
That's insane.
That sounds about right.
That's not where this stops.
That's insane.
Blake Bortles had a completion rating of under 70. So if you were to talk to anyone and tell them that Tom Brady is more likely to go to an AFC Championship game than Blake Bortles is to complete a pass,
you'd be right.
They couldn't refute you.
I feel like this is the most ESPN baseball stat of all time, because you can replace like any quarterback with that.
No,
Nobody throws 80%.
Yes and no. I just like using Blake Bortles. He's probably smoking some cigarettes right now.
Good example.
You know what I mean?
And a 70% completion percentage is really good.
Yeah.
I would take
league average.
I would take 70.
It's, I just think that's absolutely crazy. So I have to go Tom Brady. I don't like that I have to go Tom Brady. But 80%.
You must respect the GOAT.
80% of the years you are playing professional football, you go to the AFC Championship game. That's pretty mind-boggling.
Pretty nuts.
So we're gonna move right on. We just wrapped up all the decade for you. Now we're gonna wrap up this show with tap outs. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. I hope you mention what I hope you mention.
Look, I had a pretty traumatic experience, but right before coming on to the air. You knew I was going to do it. It provided me with it. So it was like 6:45, and I ordered Chick-fil-A through DoorDash, right? Long story short, DoorDash basically...
Beep out DoorDash, please.
Yeah, seriously, because they're not paying us. DD, I'll call it. Yeah. Right into the order, DD crashes on me. Okay, long story short, as I go call Chick-fil-A, they told me an order never went through. Had to call DD again and say, hey, you took money from my account, and what's going on here? After about 20 minutes, I was actually surprised that they credited me with my $19 back, that they owed me. Would have liked to have been compensated from Chick-fil-A also. I'm sorry, CFA. Also.
C-F-A.
Also, but I will settle for that. I don't know. I'm torn. I don't know if I should be mad that they messed it up and took 20 minutes, on the phone and on hold to get my money back, or the fact that they actually did, when I finally got someone on the phone, give it to me back right away. I'm torn. That was a hell of a way to end the decade.
I don't think you should praise them for doing the right thing.
They kind of sort of dug themselves out of the hole. Yeah. Max, what you got?
So, admittedly, this has been like a really just like, my brain scrambled. I haven't had work since the 23rd, so I've had a week off straight at this point. And at this point, I don't even know like what day it is. Like today, I literally have to like check my phone. I'm like, is this correct? Because I'm just not totally sure anymore. So I have just been living in a whole different universe for the past week. It's been amazing. I am not looking forward to going back to work on Friday. But really what I'm getting at here is that there was no better feeling in the world than yesterday after the Eagles win and 8 o'clock hits, it's dark outside. No Sunday scaries for having to wake up for work today.
Oh my God,
and I
you're
don't
so
have
lucky.
to worry about that until Friday when Fridays are easy days. So really, I'm just trying to really phase myself back into work in a slow process. Also, huge shout out to your quarterback, Jameis Winston. The 30-30 dream is so real. Storybook pick 6 and overtime ending. You can't write this stuff, and that's why I love sports.
He started his NFL career with a pick 6, and he may have just ended his Buccaneers career with a pick 6. You cannot write it off.
Life and art imitate one another.
That is some poor poetry.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty bad, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
I had to. That was awesome. What a year. What a moment. What a just an absolutely spectacular moment. Watching him throw another interception for a touchdown.
Damn near breaks the single season passing record. And also throws
first
30
member of the
touchdowns.
30-30 club. Also the post-game quote, I'm balling if you throw out the interceptions because he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I loved it.
If you cut that down half, give me 15 interceptions, he's the best. Statistically, he's the
Even
best
if he doesn't
quarterback
throw
in the
another
league.
touchdown, even if every drive he throws a pick on ends in a punt, he's still
the best
he's still
quarterback in
probably
the league.
instantly one of the top 5 or 7 quarterbacks.
Oh, man.
That's
30
unreal.
interceptions is so wild.
Jameis Winston is, to me, is the bad boy that every girl thinks that they can fix. You see the good in him. You see the good in him.
Bruce Arians, hey, if we can win with this one, we can win
He
with
really
another
said
one.
that.
He did. But I'm gonna do the obligatory. Be safe, be responsible with New Year's Eve coming up. Don't drive. I know how all of you party because I party the same way. Do not do it. Ubers, I know they're gonna get a little bit more expensive with the surcharges, but this is what we
$40
work
for an Uber
all
is not
year
worth
for.
the money it costs you to fight a DUI.
Exactly. No, it is not worth all
Or
the time
life.
and trouble or any kind of danger that you may put yourself or someone else in. Just call an Uber. This is what we work all year for. Have a good time, but be responsible and be safe. And if you see any of your friends or someone else trying to not do that, trying to disobey what I just put out there, say something. Be the one to stand up and make sure that only good vibes are being put out there because we all deserve it. So that's gonna wrap up our year here
And our
Our
decade.
decade.
and our.
We were both just itching
My
to get that one.
goodness.
It's gonna wrap up our decade
decade.
here at MyNEWPhilly,
Yes.
where something's always new and everything's
Everything's
always
always
Philly.
Philly. NBA All-Star voting open. Get Joel there. I don't care about the rest of them. Embiid deserves it. Go Sixers. Title coming.
Bold prediction is the Buccaneers get one
7.5
in the
titles.
2020s.
Tell me that's not going to happen. The Phillies can win 4. That means the other 3 just need 4 between them. Not that bold.
That's pretty fucking
Boston
bold.
had like 11
7.
this decade. Boston had like 11 this decade. That's absurd. That is absurd.
I go out on tour and I say